Okay, while I'm talking, I'm going to be having this time lapse playing on the screen, and it is from one of my live streams where I draw every day at some point and show off my process, and I'm just sort of like laying it out because I find it entertaining to go back for myself and see it as a little diary, and it's entertaining to some other people to share, somebody just drawing every day. But what is art style? I see it as this thing that is a result of the decisions you make while you're drawing in the moment, while you're drawing or coming up with ideas, the decisions you make, and then your circumstances wherever you're at in life. If you're working towards a career, if you're working towards personal expression, if you are stressed out, if you're happy, if you're sad, it's all these different factors that go into then what the art becomes. So if you're, say, working and you want to be a concept artist or you want to be an illustrator professionally, you want to get paid as your full-time career to make art, you might produce work that's going to be very, very different from somebody who has a full-time career and is just pursuing art as a hobby. However, both of you guys may come to this feeling of, I feel like I'm boxed in. I feel like I don't have the time to do the things I want to do. I don't have the focus or the resources to do what I want to do, and you just feel like you need a way out. You want to change your art style because maybe if you do an art style that's easier or an art style that is more helpful towards whatever your specific goals are, that's going to make things better for you. What I found is this this focus on art style as opposed to the decisions themselves and your circumstances, and being self-reflective on these things is what may stifle you in being able to create that art you want to create. So I see a lot of other people, what they try to do is come up with solutions for you that focus in on people's really their wants and needs to find this art style that they so desperately crave. And that comes in the form of style breakdowns of popular media, or tutorials where you're guided through a very specific process in order to achieve a really, very specific result. All of these things I think are completely fine and very helpful to use, but in a context where you take these things as gospel, and or you see this as like, okay, if I can just do this, I'm going to be making art in an art style that I'm going to be comfortable with, and I can just do it indefinitely. I really think that is a rabbit hole that you might go down and then still feel like you're not getting it. Uh, and if you're focusing on career, you might be like, oh, I wish I could just do this with passion and not have to adhere to these standards that this career path has set out for me. Or maybe if you're a hobbyist, you're feeling like, oh, I just don't have the time or energy to make these things that I want to make. Either way, those tutorials, they're like band-aids on those issues. They might help you for a day, you might be able to follow them, but then after a certain period of time, you're just going to feel like back in that same situation where you maybe have extended the limits of your ability, and you just feel like, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. I want the art style of these artists that I love so much. Um, this this is an issue that I can really empathize with. I've experienced it before, and I've followed countless tutorials. But at some point, I stopped following tutorials and I started to see them as just an idea. Like, the tutorials are an idea; they're giving you ideas for how to see the process, how to see subject, how to see the art, philosophy and the craftsmanship of it. It's all just good information to gather, but having your own personal philosophy is really important to be able to use those in a way that really can support you doing this consistently. Another way that people tend to try to find their art style is simply by engaging, taking in media that they like looking at aesthetically. So this could be like anime, TV shows, reading novels or manga, looking at art in galleries and museums. A lot of people are Twitter scrollers or Blue Sky scrollers or Instagram. You scroll, you like, you see all this beautiful art. You go on ArtStation for my like concept art and illustration people. You're scrolling. You're just looking at this like mountain of beautiful art, and you're thinking like, why? How do I get that? Why can't I be some like something I aspire to be? Why can't I reach those goals? And why is it that I feel like my art style is the thing that's limiting me? Um, that that is again, I'm saying it again, another problem that I can empathize with. However, watching media isn't going to give you an art style. Um, so it makes sense. You're just going to be left with this feeling that you want to do stuff and you don't know where to put that energy. And let's say you have a little bit of time each day to do so, but no matter what you're doing, you have limited time. You have to spend your time and you want to spend it in a way that feels meaningful. Well, I think that a way to cultivate truly a style as a result of your actions in whatever situation you're in. You Consistency is really necessary. So being in an environment where no matter how small, a consistent level of creation, whether it's coming up with ideas, writing them down, doing sketches in a sketchbook, doing studies. A lot of people tend to go through this study arc where all they do is just study. And they study other people's art styles. They study from photos, even studying from life, which I think is like really, really helpful. All these things, but they feel limited by just like, okay, I'm studying from life. I'm doing it every day, or I'm doing it when I can, or I'm studying from photos when I can, but nothing is changing. This like brings me to this crossroads where I can't give anybody the answer because I'm still trying to find all the answers the same as everybody else. But I have gotten to a place where I consistently practice in creativity. And the way I do this is kind of a little bit of a mantra, but just ideas that are always going through my head whenever I feel unsure, whenever I feel like I'm wasting time, or like, oh, I'm just not happy with where my art is at. I feel limited. I feel like I'm not able to do everything I want to do. And that is just these three things, kind of being curious as a driver, a positive driver for like creative endeavors, just curiosity, asking questions, not just when you see that media that you really like, that anime that you really love, that has it just blows you away. What is the history of that? How did that thing come to be? Who made it? What are all the factors that went into making this thing? And look at how deep and rich and complex these parts of the world and of entertainment that you enjoy and want to replicate really are, in order to not feel like, okay, just copying it or watching it is going to make you be able to replicate that. It's so deep, but continuously asking questions. And then the second thing is not settling for uh, you know the least amount you can do. Always trying to push for a little bit more, pushing yourself to be a little bit uncomfortable, trying out things that aren't always the most safe route in order to stumble upon maybe some really beautiful ideas and really awesome stuff. And then finally, not being afraid. Uh, there's a lot of fear I hear talking to my friends who are within the art field, and in other spaces, uh, in just making things and spending the time. They fear they're going to be wasting time if they don't follow some standard. Uh, and the exploration there is just killed. The curiosity is killed. So you can be comfortable, but you don't have to settle if you know there's a little bit somewhere higher you can go. You can feel it in your head. You know there's somewhere different where you can see it, but you might be afraid to go after it. I say go after it. Do not settle. and be curious, and don't be afraid. And yeah, and once you start like following this flow that will come from being comfortable, or at least not stressed, but being able to consistently work, your art style will change. You will change as a person, and I don't think your art style is something there where, like, if I've drawn anime style for 10, 15 years, my whole life, uh, that's no reason why I wouldn't be able to go and change and do a more like naturalistic oil painting style of artwork. If you're interested in that, do it. And don't be afraid to do it just because it's like, oh, well, if I post this on Instagram, nobody's going to like it because it's different from my regular style. You can't be defined by those things, and that's going to limit you. You're going to start to feel bogged down. You're going to get burnt out by this limitation, and it's going to take the creativity out of art, and you're just going to become a factory of the same thing that you don't even like after a certain point, just coming out of you over and over. So your art style will change. You will too. And you don't need to go out and find it. The big point that I want to make is an alternative to finding an art style, which is building a vision. That thing that I was talking about earlier, where you might see something in your head, like you can imagine, you have these ideas of something interesting, a concept artistically, a question that you would answer uh, through the artwork. For example, in my case, uh, I try to look at um, process really, really like a buffet almost of things that you can choose from. And when you put a little bit, you can take from all these different beautiful, interesting flavors. And when you try to mix them together in a certain way, you can come up with a plate you've never seen before, but maybe you make something new. And that's the vision, just continuously building towards something new. You have all of these options in front of you. You can take whatever you want and do whatever you want with it. Do not limit yourself to an art style. You are not your art style. What you can be doing instead is building a vision, something more, and potentially something really beautiful. So, yeah, just wanted to. This has literally been just a little rant um, while showing off this process. I hope you enjoyed the piece of artwork that I did. If you want to, come and just sit in during the streams, feel free. I maybe something I said there clicked with you. You can see it in my work. I'm always just trying new, different, kind of slightly different things, but you're not going to lose yourself if you're not focused on art style. You don't even have to be worried about that. It will happen anyway. You'll develop it. And yeah, so good luck, guys. I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you in the next stream. Feel free to follow me on socials. Let me know what you think in the comments. All that good stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to make another video. So enjoy the rest of your days. Peace out, buds.